right, there we go. And we are live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. We're going to give it 6 more minutes before we kick things off. Give people a moment to gather. All right, what did we have on RSVP? 53 people, 10 participants. Anyone do event management? Is 20% horrible or good? I don't even know. Whatever. It's going to YouTube. All right. Who's here first time that's willing to unmute themselves?
That would be me.
All right. So what got you interested in Python, John?
You know, I've always been in and around the space. I've done lots of consulting with emerging tech companies for well over, 2 decades. And even though I don't even pretend to be an engineer in any way, shape, or form, everybody that I've worked with along the way who's been involved, Python always seems to come to the top in terms of good place to start, good place to learn, and it seems to be one of those platforms that it has multiple uses throughout. So it's something I've really been interested in for a while, and it seems like there's a lot of other folks like me who are kind of on the peripheral who are just anxious to learn as well. So I'm eager to garner what I can tonight and going forward.
Very cool. All right. Beginner also starts by lining up what looks like will be an awesome speaker for next month. I love it.
And we're really excited about it. So thank you again.
All right. We got some more people. How's it going, Kaveri? Hello, Mal in Seattle. Sorry if I missed anyone. I think that's everyone who's been in so far. Who's got a project they're working on? Do you want to share briefly? Got a few more minutes.
Okay, how many is a few?
3 minutes and counting.
Okay.
3 and change.
So I've been tinkering with Streamlit. I can share some of that.
Ooh, yeah.
So let's see here. What have I got?
Streamlit. That sounds like some sort of like YouTube or Twitch type thing. Maybe.
Where is it?
Or is it other types of streams?
So we do that to there, and now let's refresh. Oh, I haven't changed the images I was using in this.
Okay. Before we do some stream sharing or screen sharing, we'll get some people in. Wait, how quick can you do your Streamlit share?
In a few minutes. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll give out the link and I'll also share the screen as I talk about it.
Okay.
So where? Let's see here. Where am I? If I go to, oh, I know where I'm at.
All right, Robert is like the previews for tonight. This preview, not yet approved.
Right.
Sure, it'll be fine.
Let's go over to this guy, and let's chop this guy out. And now that should work.
This is what programming sounds like for anyone who's unfamiliar. Semicolon.
For anyone at the Python meetup who's unfamiliar with programming.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Python. White space. Oh no, tabs, spaces.
Okay, and now we go back to here.
I like this presentation. It's pretty good. All right, we got a minute. I'm sorry, Robert. I gotta save it for show and tell at the end. James, I promise Robert's going to pay attention.
Is James ready?
Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's do that.
I mean,
I
try
hope
not
it's
to
starting
expect
soon.
too much, though. You know.
Yeah. Oh, we'll really pull the
You
punch.
mean from you and not expect too much?
How dare you? Oh, Robert, no. Oh, Robert's a hype man around here for anyone who's unfamiliar. Robert's my co-host this evening. All right. 10 minutes after the hour. How many people we got here? 14. Oh, we got Ramses. What's up? What else did we get in? Anyone else new? Well,
Hello, guys.
half the hour. Hey, how's it going? All right. Welcome, everyone, to another SacPy. It's October 7th, 2021. Still in pandemic. I have to say I've enjoyed the switch to Zoom. Not that I don't enjoy in-person meetings and all that, but Zoom has been cool because it's made it a lot easier to get to the event and to get home after. And also, we've cast the net a lot more proudly. It also makes it possible for me to be doing this from Virginia Beach, which I presently am. It's a late one for me. It's 10 o'clock. It's not that bad. But wherever you are, thanks for joining. All hail our glorious founder, Josh Miller. Founded it sometime this millennia. 2017, I think, or 2013. Scholars maintain it's impossible to know. You'd have to go all the way to the back of the meetup events. We don't do that. He comes out sometimes. What's up, Josh? If you're seeing this on YouTube, weirdo, show up in the next one. Come chat with us. These QR codes might work. I'm pretty sure the bottom one does. This originally was hosted in a group called SacTech. I think SacTech's a company, it might be like a consulting company in Sacramento. But they had a Slack, they put it together, and a whole bunch of meetups are on there. But they didn't have a Discord, so I put it on mine. That's my company, Raisin Studios. I'll announce stuff and post pictures and stuff. I'm usually in both. If you ever have any questions about when the next one is, if you can speak, where to start if you don't know anything about Python and don't want to speak up in one of these, just ping me on there. I'm Woody on both. We also have a few more social media outlets. We've got a Twitter. Apparently there's someone actually named SacPy, no underscore. Maybe we can get that one later on Twitter. There's a subreddit. I occasionally post things on there. I always like to tell the story of how I posted the Zoom link the first time, and we got Zoom bombed heavily. Someone had, I think, a bot scraping on Reddit and would just scrape for open, like unsecured Zoom links. Whoever was hosting it, it was like William or something like that. He lent his premium account and I don't know. He said we were getting like 50 new people a second or something like that. It was crazy. So yeah, if anyone knows anything about Reddit, I'd like some help knowing what to do. I have no idea how to put together a moderation crew or anything like that. We also have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. And basically all of those, they work when I remember. I'm working on some scripts for automating social media posts, but you know, hasn't been super high priority. But if anyone wants to jump in on those, let me know. Again, Slack or Discord, I'm there. Before we get started, big thanks to all of you for showing up. It's always fun to have you guys here. Definitely keeps me going. It's been really fun to learn so much from all you guys. It's neat when someone can jump in with some domain expertise and really unpack on a single point, and you know, it can always be like really informative. But I've never ceased to be amazed by like how both deep and weird some of your knowledge bases are. So I appreciate you for depth and breadth. Let's see. Do we have many people with their pictures on? How do I go to gallery here? I want to do the thing where I can see the gallery. There's not too many people on. Yeah, well. Anyway, sometimes we do that. Maybe not this time. I'm in a weird setup here where I'm running 2 computers. More on that later. But first up tonight, I'd like to welcome James Tejada back. His name is not Calvin Pack. I'm so sorry. What the hell? That's ridiculous.
Hey, Calvin.
Moment. Snafu. Wait, does this save inline? Please tell me it saves inline. It doesn't. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. Redo. Sorry, James. Oh man, we should have done that shakedown yesterday. Huh? Oh man, 2 podcasts in one day. Oof. All right, there you go. James is he's presented with us since I've been running this thing at least once. It sounded like maybe he presented before I was attending SacPy, but he's back again for the second time on my watch. This time we'll just put it under the general category of automation engineering, which is the title of his role these days. He does some stuff with RSS in this presentation, but some other things too. But anyway, if everyone, before we get started, could real quick unmute and give James a big thank you on the count of 3. All right, 1. Let's see if we got it now. Give everyone a chance to unmute. Anyone who's gonna unmute, there's still a few of you still muted. All right, anyway, that's a good amount. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Whoa. All right. All right, James. I'm gonna give the sharing to you. There you go.
Okay.
Get away.
Is this the right one? Okay, yeah. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. So yeah, I just wanted to give an update on the funding credits and then this weekend programming bot that I made for Cap Radio. So for those who don't know, I used to work at Cap Radio up until like last month. So the job I have now is pretty new. And I did a lot of like automating things that would just be manual tasks that people would have to do. So there's a weekend programming bot that I made. And then this info aggregator. So I'm still trying right now to get an interpreter out of Afghanistan if I can. So anyway, I'll share about how I use Python for that also. Yeah. Okay. So the NPR funding credits, what I had before was something that would take these 2 spreadsheets, download them from NPR. So to log in with my credentials, download these spreadsheets, and then do some pandas magic, and then come out with exactly the times that we needed and the file names that we needed to play for funding credits. I don't know if anyone's familiar with public radio, but we play funding credits from NPR that legally need to be played at around certain times. So
like the Nova soy brand isoflavones, stuff like that. Brought to you by Novartis.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's like, oh no.
So what I've ended up doing is restructured the project, and I started using this double underscore main dot py, use that functionality. So instead of having this run script on the outside, I just had everything in this funder directory, and then you can just call python-m and then the directory name, which is funder. And then, so just ran it that way. And then I converted it to be headless on a Linux machine. And so, well, I'll get into it, but
yeah, we can link that. And that was a past presentation, right? Okay, you're gonna do a little bit on it this time, but Yeah, that was the Slack thing. It would update in Slack.
Yes. Yep. So it also started a Slack bot, but that's not needed anymore because if you just run it on a cron job on a Linux machine, then it'll just keep running, and no one has to mind it or anything.
How much did you get to work with Selenium on that?
A good amount. I mean, I had to log in, find certain, find certain pages, and then find the links to the downloads, and then download the files. So
I had trouble getting the Chromium driver on Linux working correctly. So
oh yeah, so I know it needs a GUI. I've always only used Selenium on Windows.
I should point out I've gotten a Selenium Chrome driver working for my NPR slurping functionality, and I don't think I need a GUI on my end. So if you want, Robert, we can talk about that.
That's awesome. Thanks.
There you go. Okay, so how I got around the GUI part, the Selenium part, is you just spoof the user agent. So a browser will send a string to when it sends a request, this user agent string, and it's just basically just copying the same string that a browser would send. And then so once I did that, then I was able to just do post requests, and then with my credentials to log in, I'd get all the cookies and whatever, and then I could just scrape through the site with the requests and beautiful soup, and then just download it like this bottom part. It basically just writes a binary file with this, with an XLS extension. So it just copies the binary and then puts it into a spreadsheet file, the Excel file. Yeah, so once I did that, it's all GUI-less and just raw requests. Okay, so now I guess if you want to see that.
So if anyone's wondering what those bold ones are, requests and beautiful soup, those are Python libraries. Beautiful soup is particular to scraping, right? You it goes through and looks at style tags and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's the parser
Yeah.
yeah. So this is the, I guess the game changer. Yeah, so as you can see, the user agent right here, and then all these functions are just requests, So it uses a session, so it keeps the all the credentials and stuff, or your authorization or authentication. But yeah, so that's all it does. And yeah, after I had that, then I just ran it on a cron job.
Terry had a question. They said, will it re-render React page? I think what you meant was could you use that scraping a page on a web app that was made with React? Is that what you're asking, Terry?
Ooh, probably not.
No?
Yeah, with the requests, it won't run the JavaScript. So that's always the issue. It just so happened that this web page didn't need it. I just had to, pretend that I was a browser. That's all.
I think the difference is that the structure of the page has to already be set up before you run it, right? Whereas with React, the structure of the page is created while you were running it.
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay. So the next thing that I did was, so on the right is this flow chart of basically a manual process that someone had to do every week, which was PRX is another, it's like NPR. PRX is another public radio distribution company. So we'd have to download their files. They had an FTP that they'd set up for us, and we had to download files each week from their FTP. Sometimes sort through which ones were the right ones, and then convert them, make sure they're normalized correctly for, industry standard. And so do some minor audio processing. and then rename them for our automation system, our playout system. So yeah, all of this was taken over by a bot. And some of the features, so it just downloads the weekend programs. So it logs into the FTP. It downloads based on like episode number. So it makes sure the episode number is the same, and it makes sure the date modified is new enough where it will be the current episode. And then file verification. So downloading, it verifies that it's not corrupted with by hashing and then comparing the hashes. And then it verifies file length. So I have like we just have known values of like how long a show should be, or like even with the breaks taken out. If it's a floating break, you can still add up the segments around it, and they should add up to a certain amount, a certain time. So it does that, and then it does the audio processing automatically for us also. So it does normalization, and then it does MP3 conversion for hosts that are not on site. That we just share the files, and then they record their breaks. So yeah, FTP login, pretty straightforward. I used recursion because I was trying to be fancy. But then you have to have like this end counter, so it's basically a loop anyway. Yeah, so that
Fancy.
and then this is the chooser class. It basically will look at the file names and determine and the modified times, and then determine which ones to download. Yeah, so it's of form like the ones that have episode numbers. It looks like there, this American Life, 1, and then it has this in the middle, that episode number. So if you see can you see my mouse cursor?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so it just splits it on this underscore, and then converts it to integer, and then just compares them with max. So it just gets some maximum integer, and then you get the target episode number. Yeah, and then just comparing modified times.
Brian asks, are you using Log Guru for logging?
No, I'm just using the default logging for Python. It's built into Python. Okay. Yeah, actually I didn't have logging at first, which was bad because then some of the files were not delivering. So I had no idea what was happening. But yeah, it's built into it now. So and then the hash verification. So I guess it basically downloads it twice, but it was worth it to make sure that the files are not corrupted, so that because this is just going to be automatically processed and then going to the playout system. So I didn't want it, as I wanted as much verification as I could. Yeah, so just hash remote. It talks to the FTP, and then hashes the contents, and then the local file, it hashes that local file contents.
And so what happens if they don't match up?
Oh, then it stops and then it re-downloads it.
Like how often would that happen?
Kind of often. So another problem was the machine was like, since I just got like any like machine that they were going to throw away, and then just installed Linux on it for experiments, and they gave me an IP, and so I just started building these kind of things. But the problem with that machine was the NIC, the network card would like sleep sometimes, or it just had some weird behaviors. So for example, I had to like ping out every like 5 minutes just to keep it more available. So yeah, so this really helped because it would time out all the time. So yeah, but it still worked. So it still worked with this system with where it has all the verification. So
Did you find any, or like, were you graphing how often things would drop? Like what your percentage of, like,
mm, no, it's really weird because it would be like only certain days, just random days where it would be dropping out more than usual. It might have been the campus because we're on Sac State campus, so there's someone else monitoring traffic. So
so
it might have been something there.
you're like
It seems like
deprioritizing.
this is tailor-made for having a virtual machine, or something like DigitalOcean, just the cheapest level service, because it's underpowered, but it's at least reliable.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And it's outside there's no higher network that you have to like go through because Sac State has all these like protocols for. Anyway, yeah, I have thought about that. I just didn't execute it. So okay, what else? Oh, okay, so this is the checking the timed segments. So there is what's it called? There's the segments that are added up to a certain time length. I have that in a let me pull it up actually, and then I'll show you. Okay, yeah. So I have these what was it? Yeah, so this add, so the segments that are supposed to be added, so if you look at these numbers, that's segment A, B, and C, because there's floating breaks between them. So you can add them up still, and then it should equal this target time right here. So yeah, so that's how there's certain ones that are just, you can measure this file length should always be 60 seconds. This file length should always be 30 seconds, things like that. So that's what this method's doing here. And then the audio class, which is, it's the base class for like a processing class that processes all the files. But yeah, and this is FFmpeg. It's just a wrapper around FFmpeg. And let's see. And then normalization is also using FFmpeg, but there's a library for normalization with FFmpeg. So yeah, and it has the capability to thread. So just, well, using the threading library at least, or the concurrent futures library. So instead of processing one, it'll process like 3 at a time, something like that. Which sped it up a little bit, but it's also it wasn't a beefy machine, so I stayed away from that, actually using it, right? Unless I was executing it on like my desktop or something like that. Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. So, oh yeah. So one of the lessons that I had to learn, like I guess the hard way, is I started out with like all the data being, so you saw well, maybe you didn't see the package structure, but like it's all of these different modules. I had like the information in each module, and then I realized, oh, I should just share the information, share the data. But then what happened is like I'd end up with like circular import errors and all that stuff. So, and then it was a huge pain to change, like if we canceled the show, which happened actually. We canceled the show and then we added a new show. It was such a pain to like add that show and then delete all the old stuff, because it was just scattered all over the place. So I started using Dataclasses, which I don't know if you don't know. Dataclasses are like, it's a class that just stores data. That's basically it. But you have typing if you want, and you can initialize it with default values. And then I just did a asdict wrapper because I didn't want to have to like. I just wanted to call it that way rather than have an asdict function somewhere. Yeah, so that solved a lot of problems because where is it? Yeah, it's this instead of random things being scattered everywhere. So I just can instantiate, this show class, and then I can pull this to different modules and then use the data. Okay, yeah. So this Afghanistan info aggregator. So the story of this was I was actually working to try and get this interpreter out of Afghanistan with the drawdown, and so I was deployed to Afghanistan twice in 2009 and then 2011, and so one of our interpreters wanted me to try and do what I could to get another guy out. And he's still there, by the way, spoiler alert. But so I was just trying to like get information and figure out what's happening on the ground. So and I noticed that. So it started with the Afghanistan embassy. So let me pull that up. U.S. Embassy, Afghanistan. So I'd visit their website a lot, right? And try and get the latest security messages, or like how to apply for SIV, all that stuff. And then I just tried this one time, but or I don't know how I found it, but if you type /feed on government websites, you get RSS. So like White House also. So whitehouse.gov/RSS.
Right now we're just looking at your Google slides.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. It sounds like traumatic typing though.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So from this, you just add the feed, and then you have XML. Or
Well, is that all .govs?
I don't know. I mean, federal maybe, because White House. Here's whitehouse.gov. If you type /feed, you get RSS. So what I use this for is, okay, here we go. So this is the script that I wrote just to kind of like grab the data fast and then figure out, the things that were important to me at the time. So yeah, so it was just scraping RSS feeds, and then yeah, so having the date timestamp, what source it came from. So these tuples are like what feed it is, and then the actual RSS feed. And then yeah, so I was monitoring White House, U.S. Embassy Kabul. I added the Pakistan embassy, the U.S. Embassy of Pakistan, just to, because it's a bordering country, so maybe they'd have something like we're welcoming Afghan refugees or whatever. Yeah, just these feeds I was checking, and then I was if it had a it was from U.S. Embassy Kabul or mentioned Afghanistan, then I sent a text alert. So how you do that is you use SMTP basically. So I have an account, a Yahoo account. You can do it with Gmail also, but you set up like a app access for an SMTP feed, and then do this basically, and then you send it to, depending on your carrier, there's a way to look this up. It's online somewhere, but depending on your carrier. So for example, I'm with AT&T. You can send it to your number at AT&T.net, I think, or txt.AT&T.net. I forgot which one, but it's on the internet somewhere. And so what this did is it actually alerted me. So when we had the bombing at Kabul airport, I knew about it before the news people did, actually, because I got a text message right away. So
Whoa.
anyway,
Wait,
yeah.
so
So
that's like, I guess, military reporting going through the White House, not like, but then the news report would go through like Associated Press or something.
oh no, like I mean the news people at Cap Radio, I should say, before anyone mentioned it. Like
Whoa,
I
okay.
already got the text message that happened. So yeah, it ended up being kind of useful. I just send out like, so we had another guy who was working to like, you know, try and get as many interpreters and, you know, Afghans out as he could, and US citizens too. And so I would just give him the alerts whenever I saw one, just, you know, pertinent alerts, just so he knew, you know, that there was like, you know, heightened danger or something at a certain gate or whatever. Yeah, they would put that out on they would put that out on their website. Can you see this, the PowerShell window?
I'm still seeing the presentation.
Oh man.
Yeah, because you're only sharing your browser screen.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh man. So you didn't see the. There. Can you see VS Code now?
Yes.
Oh man. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, anyway, here's the mail sending thing. So just starting the server and then sending the text alert. And then here's the RSS parser. So I just wanted alerts for this from that feed, or if there was a mention of Afghanistan, and it would send a text alert to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's actually, and let me share the
And
PowerShell window.
maybe I need to back up. What was it? What prompted this project? You were just like keep an eye out for ads?
Yeah, well, no, I was working to try and like get someone out of Afghanistan, and there was a kind of a like backdoor system
Yeah.
of getting
Yeah.
people into Kabul airport.
Mhm.
So I was just kind of just trying to, you know, get
Okay,
as
so
much
this was-
information as I could.
This was after the pullout had begun, and you just got the notification of the bombing or something.
Yeah, so this was August.
Wow.
Mid-August, I think I started doing this.
Yeah.
So
right
it's just, yeah, it's running on a laptop here, like an old laptop.
Nice.
And, you know, just sending out, just sending them out, getting the RSS feed every once in a while, or not once in a while, every like 30 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. And then
Kurt Schmidt had a question about your SMS gateway. He's wondering how you got it to work consistently. He's saying he has 50-50 experience.
oh, that I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't fully understand SMTP. Oh,
Wait,
that
SMS.
SMS?
Because you got the text message alert, right?
Yeah,
Like
you know, I
using
mean,
Twilio or something.
maybe it's the provider. I don't know what provider he has, but AT&T's been pretty consistent for me. So
Yeah, I think so. It might be as carrier.
yeah. So this is the machine. So we'll go into the RSS. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. Do we need a virtual environment? No, we don't. Okay. So this is what it looks like. this is, since this is recent within a certain time period, then it's giving me a little bit more from the, I guess I forgot what this is called, like the header or whatever. It's a certain, I'd have to look at the actual XML, but it's like a sneak preview kind of thing. So yeah, so this is what it looks like. We got US Embassy Pakistan now, US Embassy Kabul, nothing since September 1st, obviously, you know. So yeah, that's that. I mean, any other questions about that?
Have you seen any interesting updates recently?
No, not really. I mean, I check them out, like every once in a while. Afghanistan will be mentioned, but it's not really you know, there's other things that go through the RSS feeds now. So
Whoa, that news cycle.
yeah, that's true.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, the Afghanistan part, it's very interesting to one of these other podcasts I'm working with. Maybe I can put you in contact with them. They're a bunch of Navy guys too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was the 3 parts you wanted to show us. Anyone have
Yeah.
any questions for James about any of this?
Yeah, anything you wanted to see also, because I guess no one saw certain things. Yeah, like these are my data classes.
Nice. Yeah, I think you should screenshots of some of that. But yeah, there were a few times when you were hammering away. I was like, hey, it's just showing us the Afghan slides.
James, where did you find out about the SMTP text?
Oh, I don't know, randomly on YouTube. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just kind of one of the random things that I know, I guess.
I'm just wondering where I would go to find out more information on it.
There, if you just search for that, what is it? Send SMS via email. Then there should be, yeah. There's, if you look at how to send SMS via email, it should have everything you need. Yeah, so like it has the different providers and stuff, like T-Mobile, Virgin Mobile. Yeah, they have different domain extensions. So
thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Ramsey's. That was awesome and impressive. Thanks, James.
yeah. Thank you.
Hey, do you mind if I add a comment about the you have that as dict method on your data class?
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's a library, there's a package called catters that will take any data class and you can pass it into an unstructured function and it'll turn it into a dictionary, and also take the dictionary and allow you to instantiate the class with it. It like has structure and unstructure, so it makes it so you don't even have to write as dict methods.
Oh.
Just like it just applies. It uses like the type hinting from the data class to basically do the transformation. I use it all the time for data classes and also adders.
Oh, okay. So it's like I've heard of adders. That's a basis for data classes, right?
Yeah. And so catters just kind of goes, it takes it because, this has the nice kind of definition of the class with type hints and whatnot. And it uses the fact that that's all defined to be able to turn dictionaries into structured instances of your classes.
Okay.
And instead of like just programmatically like turning dictionaries into your classes, it's really great to start to use with you're doing any amount of reading, like dictionaries or JSON, turning it into your objects.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, okay.
It's called
Check
Catters.
that out.
Yeah, Catters.
Caters. Is that what you said?
PT, two T's.
Two T's. Okay.
Yeah. Catters.
Pro tips. When
Yeah.
John speaks, I usually listen.
I've written so many as dict, to dict, from dict methods and functions that like it's really great to just not have to do that anymore.
Is it in GitHub, John?
Well, it's on PyPI, it's on GitHub.
Someone sent the read the docs in the chat for Zoom.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for that.
Oh yeah.
Thanks,
Cool.
Tinny. Also, hey, Tinny, what's up?
Not much. I guess I'm presenting some stuff to the Charlottesville Python users group on sort of updates to my COVID-19 tracker. And I think one of the functionalities I can expose into a new command line interface is to define a geographical region like the Shenandoah region and use that to get statistics of COVID-19 cases and deaths for that, rather than sort of what I have is kind of hard-coded. By hard-coded, I mean I already have a data structure defining geographical regions, but if I could create a new command line tool that would take as input basically a JSON data file of that dictionary structure, then I could do, basically all the analysis I did, those videos, for instance, that I showed a few months ago, but for that specific, sort of custom region. The example I want to, demonstrate to them is the Shenandoah Valley region, seeing how the COVID-19 cases have spiked in the past 3 months and how it compares to, say, a year ago, that sort of thing. But I have to write it up, and it's giving it in about like 2 weeks, or a little under 2 weeks.
Nice. Yeah, share a link for that the Slack or the Discord.
Sure.
Kurt talks a little bit more about his SMS experience. Sounds like he's been at it for a while. It's a crapshoot, huh? All right. What about Twilio? I guess if you could do it by email, that's way cheaper than Twilio. Twilio, you have to pay by the text.
What about something like a Telegram bot? Because the RSS, it's just figuring out how do you deploy that information. And I guess SMS is something everybody uses, but if it's maybe not as reliable, maybe something like a Telegram bot. I don't know. I haven't tried any of these things. Might be more reliable. Oh, well.
Yeah, I considered doing like Slack because you can easily set up a webhook in Slack. Well, if you have, if you're able to make to have those add-ons, if you have the permissions. But yeah, SMS was just like I'll always see an SMS. I might not always see Slack.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if I see all my Telegram notifications. Sorry, Telegram bot. Cool. All right. Well, any other questions for James?
So, do you have the link to your GitHub? Because I'm interested in trying FFmpeg normalize, just as a way to say normalize the music I download.
Yeah, it's I'll just type it in the chat here.
Okay. Which project repo is it that has it?
Weekend. There you go. Oh, it's not even a link though.
Just send it to them.
All right, there you go.
All right. Well, continue on with the presentations. A little update. I've been toying around with a startup of my own. Got it going around this time last year, maybe a month prior. The company's called Brazen Studios. It's kind of an art project, kind of a coding project under the moniker frymatic. It's picture me at some sort of Burning Man fundraiser event, standing in front of an art car wearing a wig. It's Q4, so might as well give a quarterly report. Three main things this time. Continuation of a couple of projects from last time. First up is a group currently called City Aegis. We started as a hackathon. We started as a summer hackathon group. We were runners up in the Hackmakers Smart Cities Hackathon. It's kind of cool. It was put on by the government of New South Wales, also Singapore, and then like Oracle sponsored it. We got runners up, gave us a few bucks, a couple of PDFs, but mostly got us kind of stoked on the project. And the gal leading it, Kimberly Wright, found an incubator called MIT Solve. So we've continued our hackathon project. Can't talk about it too much. We're getting all hush hush about it, but this incubator we're in is called Unbundle Policing. And I think it was largely prompted by some of the events that happened last summer during the riots, particularly George Floyd, but a number of others. So the group is called City Aegis. No idea how many times this is going to change, but I don't know. Every time we do it, it's kind of fun to make a new logo. But current working title is City Aegis. Aegis means like with the support of, like under the aegis of Legion. But with the support of the city, we hope to, via this technological, mostly mobile app, and then like mapping solution, provide some safety to cities, big and small. Next up on the list, Outlier Studios. As I said, I am in Virginia Beach presently. I'm out here supporting a friend of mine. He wanted to put together a podcast, so he got a bunch of nice stuff. I'm actually in that studio right now using their microphones and headset, their mixer, and their little production bay here. He is a disabled combat vet. He's in the Navy. He went to Afghanistan as well. And yeah, he's led an interesting life. He was a college athlete, D1 track and field like thrower, so like discus, shot put, hammer, and then decided that was boring and he wanted to play football. And so he then transferred to Arizona State and promptly walked onto the team there because he's an incredibly athletic individual. And that got him into the NFL Combine tryouts, where he was noticed by a few teams, but primarily he was noticed by the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, you may know it as professional wrestling. He went and trained with them for a little bit before he decided he didn't really like that lifestyle. He wanted something a little bit more disciplined, which brought him to the Navy. And but that eventually brought him out here. And been a fun project. I've been out here about half the year this year working on it. Let's see. So it's called Outlier Studios. We're still forming the corporation at the moment. The YouTube channel finally has enough subscribers. Apparently, when you get to 100 subscribers, you can now choose your own custom username. So big milestone this trip. The studio is, it's pretty easy to sit down and just like talk about whatever, because it's a really nice set of microphones. And so he's over here on the beach, and he's this gregarious guy, and he'll strike up conversations with people about just about anything, just about anywhere, just about any time, and talk about whatever's going on. And so this year he's talked about the podcast studio quite a bit. And eventually he got this group over that really got into it. And they really got into it because they're just around the corner. And they do kind of like salty sports commentary. They call themselves Bunny Boiler Boys. Now, that is a reference to Fatal Attraction. Something to do with jealous exes. I don't know. But they got real into it. I think they've done 14 episodes now. The original podcast out of Outlier Studios, Outlier Podcast, just had its 29th just before this one. So, they're starting to get some content under their belt, getting some views, and getting towards partner status. You have to get to some threshold of hours viewed or hours produced or something like that. We figure a few podcasts under the umbrella of the Outlier Studios brand, and we could get to those numbers a little bit faster. Wrong keyboard. So we've been updating some of the art on it. As you can see, I was in there for one of them. Trying to bite on, I don't know, the style of a number of podcasts where they'll just have a little head cropped. Presently, those are just the two hosts. They occasionally have guests, but I haven't quite gotten to the point where I'm real deep on the art. But starting to differentiate a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember last time I presented on this, but it was all the same cover art. So I feel a little bit good about some differentiation there. So the big trip project this time was the move to the basement that I'm currently in. The studio before was in the third floor of my friend's house, and his girlfriend was none too happy about that because these guys that they brought on as the first like recording group for the studio, they'd come in around like 10 or something like that. And Mike my buddy is an early riser, so anything past 10 or so is a little rough. So they've moved out here down to the basement. We could be quite a bit louder. But here's a picture of it. This is a bar top that his girlfriend Rachel was working on. She does the like epoxy resin things and gets some like reclaimed wood and fills them in like you see there. Kind of gives like a beachy little ocean look to it. And that's up on the roof here, the roof deck. But if you see in the background, there's a whole bunch of junk. So that was the big project. Here's some of the like updates. As you can see, after we had gotten the bar top, we're still pretty full of stuff. It was actually quite more full of stuff before that, but I didn't get any pictures, sadly. But stacked it up, put some curtains in front of the stuff. Pay no attention to the storage behind the curtains behind me. There's a whole bunch of stuff back there. Doesn't look half bad though, right? And that was my old roommate on the left, and then my friend on the right, recording shortly before he deployed just the other day. And so this is the group, Bunny Boiler Boys. That's their helping them out with their icon. There they are recording in the same studio I'm presently in. And we're working with them to make this thing a little bit more self-service. We've got, got like locks on the door so people can come in and just poke a code in, let themselves in. We've got open profiles on the iMac that runs everything, so you can jump in as someone completely brand new and get started, or if you've been here before, we'll set up an account for you and kind of customize things. But even if you got an account, get on here, you can still kind of mess it up if you don't follow the appropriate steps. Apparently the other day they started without updating their stream key and just enjoyed the sound of their own voices in these very nice headphones and didn't record anything. So we got to check this. But it's been a fun one. I think that's it for this update. But yeah, Virginia Beach has been real. Hackathon continues. Robert, did you get that thing lined up? Are you still here? You're here. Do you want to show your thing? The stream.
Yeah, sure. Let's see if it's. Okay, it's still running here. Get an external URL. Right. So. Let's see here. I'll go back here.
Scroll harder, Robert.
I can share the screen.
Is that like, it's like the mechanical keyboards, but mechanical scrolls? Ooh,
Okay, so now I'm sharing the screen. So this is me looking at a Streamlit app that's being run off of a server. And let's see here, can I switch over? So it's the code is pretty simple to do this, right? So you just install the Streamlit pip, and you have a server, and you open up a port for it, and you can enter things in Markdown. It's easy to put in images. You can add audio, video. You can do, yeah, it even has a little macro for releasing balloons. You can do a slider. There's a YouTube video where a guy who calls himself the data science professor. He has 7 Streamlit app projects. But today what I wanted to do is find out how easy it is to deploy this to a VM on the internet. And it turns out it's fairly easy. So for a kind of a no-code solution, that's pretty good. And if we go to, let's see, I'll switch over to.
Wait, is this Python?
Switch back here.
I have the same question.
I'm sorry, Ramses? Was that a question?
Oh, I was asking, is this Python?
Okay, and I'll go over to where do I have it? Where do I have my? Here's where I have my code. So I'll go ahead and can I share? Can I share my? Here, I'll just share everything. Not allow. Let's see here. How do I show? Let's just say the entire screen. Allow. There we go. Okay, so when I come back over here to Visual Studio Code, you can see it's pretty straightforward. There's just one import Streamlit. So they have a method for an HTML title, for HTML header, subheader, text.
Or could you zoom in
to do Markdown? They have a method for that. These are bootstrap, success, info, and warning. Success, info, warning, and error. An exception shows a stack trace. Help will just automatically display the help for something. If you want to do an audio file, this is how you do it.
Wait, could you? I want
I
to
was
see how
having
you do it.
trouble with the video
Robert,
because the video is missing, so I
please zoom in.
clipped that part out. Pardon?
Will you zoom in, please? This
Uh,
font is very small.
Oh yeah, just use a bigger font.
Control
Let's see here.
plus.
How do I use a bigger font on this?
Control plus, maybe. Ooh, no, there we go.
Works.
Oh man, that box is getting small.
Okay. Let's see. Exception range right. Checkbox. So here's how it did the checkbox. To do a radio group, you just give it a tuple. You can do. You can use pill, which also works with Jupyter notebooks. So you can take code that you develop in a Jupyter notebook, and you can just go ahead and throw it into Streamlit. You can do a selection. This is a drop-down, single select drop-down. Here's a multi-select. Do a slider. So I just started experimenting with this, but to be able to put together an app this easily is definitely pretty impressive. And when we come back to here, so here is this, and there's that. Yeah, it's. I'm not sure what triggers the balloons to release. I thought it was kind of interesting. If you do a submit, I'm not sure what the submit's waiting on. Okay, so the balloons are starting to get to me. So I'm going to go over to here and let's kill this for a second. And Vim Streamlit app. Let's kill the balloons. Right.
Wait, is the balloons were a Streamlit thing?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's just a bit of JavaScript code that is embedded as a little widget, and that's just built into the Streamlit distro.
And as we can see, they have staying power. Kept them on for
right. So here you can customize the port. So I'm going to have it instead of the default port of 8501. I'm going to use a custom port of 8502. And it's all fired up. And now we go back to our display. And now we refresh it. And now, yeah, whatever it was finished now. So this is something I just started playing with. I don't have a full presentation on it, but it's definitely worth a look.
I'll give you credit for a full presentation on that one. That was cool. Low code.
I have a question.
Yeah,
if you don't mind, is it okay to ask a question now? Or
yeah, go for
it. Yeah. So first of all, of course, this is really great, and it has a great potential. You know, people who use Node.js, they have a very creepy language that generates dynamic content. My question here is, what kind? Like, it looks like you are using CSS styles, right? Are you building on top of another JavaScript platform, like maybe Bootstrap, for example?
Okay, so let's go here. I'm not sharing here. Hang this up. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again so you can see what I'm talking about. Where am I? entire screen, allow. Okay, so when I go back here, right? When you see these three, when you see these to me look like it's Bootstrap, right? Where in the code base this is, I'm not sure yet. Back here, this is all I know about how Streamlit works, is what's in this file, right?
Yeah.
I know there's this import, and this import pulls in, you know, a whole bunch of packages, right?
Yeah.
And I know and I know a little bit about how to use these methods, and you know, whatever documentation shows up for them. But in terms of how it works under the hood, I don't know yet. There is a Streamlit Discord group where you can go and ask questions and see projects that people are working on, and meet other people who are using Streamlit. But how customizable it is, I'm not sure, and exactly how things are implemented under the hood, I'm not sure.
Gotcha. And this is actually very impressive. Like I really like how so there is a feedback. I'm sorry. I was just saying it's abstract, you know, focused.
Yeah, that I like it about that too. I'm gonna stop sharing. I really like that aspect of it, and if I can plug in other things besides the defaults and still have that level of abstraction, that's really powerful to me.
I agree.
Any other questions?
Pretty cool. Ramses, you get the coolest hair. Robert, you get most echo.
Pardon me, the echo, I muted myself anyways, so.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the thing. Oh, no, that's like,
wow. Hello. Okay.
awesome. Finishing strong here. See what's going on.
Were we getting an echo just from the feedback?
I don't know. It's me.
Okay.
There we go.
I'll go ahead and mute for right now.
I'm running off 2 computers right now. Sorry about that. Some invention that was made in Japan. It's called like the silencer, and it just records a person and plays themselves back like a fraction of a second later. It's very hard to keep talking if you hear yourself just a little bit later. Anyway, thanks everyone for participating. If you're hoping to speak, take a moment, screenshot that QR code, whatever. You can also join on the mailing list. Before we go, give all of you a chance to throw in some shout outs or announcements for things coming up. I'll start next. SacPy, John Stopler has helped set up the next presenter. I believe his name is Sanjay, and he's with Akasa.
Akasa, that's correct, right.
All right, and he'll be talking about queuing libraries in Python. I'm excited for that one. That was relevant to a current project. So, anyone else? Any announcements before we wrap up? All right. Well, thanks again. See you guys in a month, November 4th.
Hey, thanks, everybody.
Just fun. See you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Good.
Whoa.